Drama alert! Today we're diving into a wild fantasy novel. Poor Freya received a shocking video of her fiancé's betrayal right before their wedding. Plot twist, the cheater even found a look. Alike, Freya called off the wedding instantly and became a rogue werewolf. Just when you think it's a survival story, her best friend takes her in, only for Freya to discover that her powerful leader is actually her connection. Talk about a crazy family reunion. Please join us in reading through this story. If you are watching, please hit the like button and leave a comment to let us know where you are tuning in from. I am working hard to create content, and your likes, comments, and subscriptions give me the energy to keep going. Let's get started. Before you get married, you should watch this video. Today was meant to be what was traditionally perceived as the happiest moment of a woman's life, her wedding day. But now, at this very moment, hours before I was due to walk down the aisle, my fiancé betrayed me. Closing the video on my phone, I read the text on the email in which the footage was attached. I had to talk to Nathan and call this wedding off before it was too late. What I had witnessed was unforgivable. Even if this marriage had been arranged, this was the last straw. Leaving my bridal suite, I cautiously stepped down the hallway, heading for Nathan's suite. But what do I say? I asked my wolf Alara for her wisdom. How do I approach this conversation? My heart pounded in my chest with nerves. Just be honest, Freya, Alara replied calmly. Say what is in your heart. The truth hurts sometimes, but Nathan isn't good enough for us. I took a deep breath and knocked on Nathan's door. Yes? Nathan asked from behind the door, so I entered his room, closing the door behind me. I didn't want anyone else to know what I was about to say to him. Freya! Nathan spoke with little enthusiasm. I stood before him wearing my beautiful wedding gown. It hugged my curvaceous figure perfectly while the fishtail style draped at my feet. But Nathan didn't react. My heart sank. What do you want? Isn't it bad luck to see you before we get married? Luck has nothing to do with it, I replied, a frown forming on my brow. Nathan appeared handsome in his tailored black suit, his dark hair neatly styled to one side. But I noticed in his hand he held a glass of brown liquid. I assumed whiskey. Well? Nathan asked, taking a sip of his drink. Hurry up, you are cutting into my drinking time. I don't think we should be married, Nathan. I released my words as they formed in my head. We just aren't right for each other. Nathan laughed. They want this alliance, so let's just get it over with. Nathan laughed. This time it echoed around the suite. Freya, you are nothing without me. He approached me, taking the rest of his drink, and as he swallowed, I provided you with a lifestyle you could never afford on your own. Nathan said coldly, looking down at me. You should be grateful for this marriage. You are sick, I responded. Like you would leave, Nathan grunted. You are here because of my wealthy father, to live the life you think you deserve. There is a reason you were born to poverty. I wish our parents never arranged for this marriage, but here we are. I wish I had never met you. I spat my words. I had tried but failed. Closing my eyes, I pictured the video once more. I closed my eyes, the memory of that anonymous video flashing in my mind. The betrayal was crystal clear. He had already given his heart to someone else. Yet he stood here acting like a savior. I opened my eyes. I'll see you at the altar, Nathan. Fine, I said, opening my eyes as Nathan's blue eyes pierced into me. I'll see you at the altar, Nathan Luddington. The hours had passed, and it wasn't long before I was walking down the aisle. I imagined my wedding day to be different to this. For once I thought seeing my groom at the altar would bring me love and happiness. I felt nothing but sickness and hate toward Nathan. My mind was a blur as the ceremony continued. The officiant was talking, but I wasn't registering her words. It was then I recognized the particular words I was waiting for. Do you, Freya Rose Wilson, take Nathan Jordan Luddington to be your husband? No, we do not, Alara barked in my mind. No, I said out loud as I locked eyes with Nathan. His face dropped from the shock. The gasps of the guests who came to watch us marry echoed around the hall. "What are you doing?" Nathan asked in disbelief. "Stop being a little cold-hearted and get it done with." "I will not marry you, Nathan Jordan Luddington." I raised my voice so everyone could hear. "I do not take you as my husband." Grabbing the ring in which Nathan was about to place on my finger, I hurled it across the room. "You are making a huge mistake," Nathan whispered fiercely as the guests gasped in shock. "You are nothing without my family's wealth. I would rather face the unknown alone than spend another second tied to your lies," I declared loudly. I stood tall, staring into his eyes with pure defiance. Turning away from the altar, I ran through the center of the crowd, leaving his toxic world behind forever. I turned to leave the altar, running through the center of the guests as I kept my eyes firmly ahead. Tears began to fill me as I managed to avoid the eyes of the disappointed guests around me. I, Freya Wilson, hereby formally reject the pack bond of Frostwind Pack, and I am no longer a member of Frostwind Pack. I left the Frostwind Pack house with nothing but the wedding dress on my back, my purse and my phone. Nathan owned everything I possessed, but he could burn it for all I cared. "You did the right thing," Alara spoke to me as I ran. "We deserve better. Now run as fast as you can, little one." Alara's voice was soothing inside my mind, relieving the upset and embarrassment. "Alara, I did it." I gasped for breath as I ran. "We got away from Nathan. We're free from his toxic grasp." "We're not out of the woods yet," Alara said. "Keep going." I carried on running as quickly as I could in this heavy gown, and my thoughts ran wild inside my mind. I was now a rogue wolf. I had no home and no money to my name. But I felt empowered by the decision I had made and the guts it took to make it happen. Eventually, I stopped, satisfied I had traveled as far as I had needed to get away from the Frostwind Pack house, away from all of the judging eyes. I took a seat on a nearby bench, getting close to the town center. I pulled my phone from my purse and checked it. I had received a message from my friend Sienna. "Hey you, sorry I am running late. I'll be there in an hour. Can't wait to see you, Merry Mr. Dreamy." I couldn't help but smirk, but also hated how Sienna called Nathan Mr. Dreamy. She always had from the moment she met him. Sienna had no idea what my relationship with the leader was like. He hid his toxic ways well to those around us. I pressed the option to call Sienna and waited eagerly for her to answer. "Hey, Freya," Sienna replied with excitement. I could tell by the humming background noise she was driving. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. So sorry I am late." "Are you married now?" Her excitement was infectious, despite there being nothing to be excited about now. But I had to break the news. "No, I am not," I replied, taking a deep breath. "Sienna, I left Nathan at the altar. I walked out on him, and I will no longer be part of the pack." "No," Sienna replied with a gasp. "Are you okay? Do you need me to come get you? Do you have somewhere to go?" So many questions confused my mind. "Please come get me. I have nowhere to go. I feel so lost." "Right," Sienna replied. "Ping me your location after this call and I'll pick you up." I hung up the call and sent Sienna my location as she requested. Leaning back onto the bench, I scrolled my phone as I waited for my ride. Mindlessly scrolling social media, I saw posts made earlier in the day of friends and Nathan's family excited about the wedding. "Am I a bad person, Alara?" I asked my wolf, watching as she appeared in my mind. Her golden fur was silky as she shook her head slightly. "No, Freya, you are a kind-hearted sweet person who deserves the world." Alara paused. "We are free now. Just watch and see where life takes us now. A new chapter, new beginnings." "You are absolutely right," I smiled as I responded to the kind words of Alara. "It is exciting to think what is out there waiting for us." My thoughts and conversation with Alara were broken by the sound of a car screeching to a halt on the road in front of me. Sienna was gesturing for me to get in, just as rain began to spot my face. I ran to the car, opening the passenger seat. I got inside and closed the door as I made an attempt to tuck my dress inside with me without it getting caught. "So," Sienna asked instantly, wide-eyed as she gazed at me, "tell me what happened, or should we grab a drink first?" "A drink would be great," I laughed. Coffee right now is just the normality I needed. Even if I was wearing a wedding dress, you won't believe it when I tell you what I did. I paused, looking at Sienna. Her black hair was styled up in a bun, while she wore a classy red dress. "You look really pretty." Sienna smiled, her eyes taking a quick glance to me as she took her focus from the road briefly. "As do you, beautiful bride." She laughed. "So I was thinking, I am going to message my dad and tell him I am bringing you home." She paused to focus. "He will be cool with it, I know it. He is a really awesome guy." I nodded. "I really appreciate that. But I've also realized we've been friends for so long yet, I've never met your family." "Right," Sienna asked with a giggle. "There is my dad and my brother who is totally lame." She paused. "But they're both all right. I think you'll love my dad. He is just a big dork." "But I am hesitant," I said to Sienna. "I don't know if I should go back with you." "Hey Dad, can I ask an honest question?" I backed up and peered into my daughter, Sienna's bedroom, standing by the doorway, wearing the most stunning red dress. I felt a lump build in my throat as I admired my beautiful little girl. She looked so much like her mother when dressed up like this. "Does this dress look dumb on me? I feel like it is not really me," she complained, knowing full well how beautiful she looked in anything. "What is the occasion?" I asked as I flashed Sienna a smile. "A friend's wedding," Sienna replied, as she turned to look in the full-length mirror by her side. Admiring herself from every angle, "I feel like this dress makes my figure look square." "Square," I replied with a hearty laugh. "Honey, you look great." Sienna turned to me and returned my smile. "Thanks, Dad." She took herself to the vanity table and sat down to rummage through her makeup. "Come in and sit down. Tell me about your day." Taking Sienna's offer, I went into her room, making my way over to her bed to take a perch. I caught myself in her mirror. I was looking tired, my silver hair was unkempt, and my beard needed a trim. I swear there were more bags under my eyes than yesterday. "You are still handsome," Sienna laughed as she began to apply cosmetics to her face. "Thanks, kid." I sat down on the bed and watched Sienna spruce herself up. Not that she needed it. Not a lot to tell, really. "Just haven't been sleeping well," I grunted. "I could use a good night's rest." "Something on your mind?" Sienna asked, stopping her application as she met my eyes in the reflection of her mirror. "Nothing for you to worry about, honey," I smiled. "I'll be fine. You know me." Sienna flashed me a sincere smile, and I knew that look. I knew she missed her mom as much as I did. But each day was getting easier for us all. We just had to stick together. "Okay. And I am done," Sienna said, standing up from her chair. She turned to me. I watched as she pinned her black hair up into a bun. "Good enough for a wedding. You look stunning," I replied truthfully. The house was always lost quiet when Sienna and her brother Milo were out. I enjoyed the bustle of my kids when they were here, music playing from their rooms or hearing them on the phone with friends. Now the silence was deafening, but I had to make sure I could wind down tonight, so I got the sleep I desperately needed. It wasn't long before the silence was disturbed by the sound of the doorbell ringing. Taking myself to answer it, a smile crept on my lips as I was greeted by the beauty of an acquaintance, Lily. It was then I heard my phone buzz, and as I took my eyes over to the screen, I saw Sienna's name pop up. Grabbing the phone, I had to make sure my daughter was safe. "Hey Dad, so there has been a change of plan. The wedding is off and my friend needs somewhere to stay. We'll be home in half an hour." "I am so excited for you to see my house and meet my dad," Sienna giggled as we left her car. "He knows you are coming, so please don't feel worried." I had felt a little worried and hesitant to be setting foot in another pack. I had only known the Frostwind pack for most of my life, and I couldn't help feeling intrusive barging my way into Sienna's pack. What if they didn't like me? What if her father, the leader of the Highland pack, didn't like me? You know, if I have words with Dad, he might even let you join our pack. Sienna grinned as we approached the front door. Wouldn't that be so cool? We would be together so much. That would be really nice, I replied nervously, wishing I could feed off Sienna's excitement right now. As we entered the house, my mouth fell agape at how vastly beautiful this house was. Whoa, I exclaimed. You have way more money than Nathan. I realized what I had said and clasped my hands over my mouth. Oh my God, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to say that out loud. Oh, it is okay. Honestly, Sienna giggled. The Highland pack are incredibly wealthy, but we don't tend to throw it around like the Frostwind pack does. We're quite humble about ourselves in that respect. I nodded. So I see. I mean, I always knew you had money, Sienna. But my eyes studied every inch of the lavish decor surrounding me. All the finishes were sparkling and clean, not like I had ever seen the Frostwind pack houses so dull and boring in its decor. I laughed. I clearly joined the wrong pack. First off, we need to get you out of that dress, Sienna pointed. As stunning as you look, the sooner you remove it, the better, she grinned. Can we burn it? I laughed with a shrug. When I've taken it off, you can do whatever you like with it. After what you told me about Nathan, I don't want you having anything tied to him. Sienna shuddered. What a creep, I can't believe. I thought he was charming. She paused. You know, I was kind of jealous you were marrying him. Now I feel lucky it was you and not me. Thanks ever so much, I replied with a laugh. Your home is really quiet. Yeah, Sienna said, as I followed her to the staircase. When my dad's here alone, he likes to relax. But when my dork of a brother Milo is here, he is the noisy one. Right. I made a mental note, earplugs for Milo. Sienna giggled as we ascended the stairs. Gosh, I am so excited to have you here, Freya, even if it is from the most awful circumstance. It was then, as I had made my way halfway up the stairs, I felt something inside me. Emotional connection. Both myself and my wolf, Alara, yelled in our minds. Here? In this house? Alara asked, her voice as shocked as I felt. I don't know, I replied. My heart racing as I tried to remain calm, so as to not show Sienna the crazy emotions I was feeling. The only person in this house at the moment is. As we reached the top of the stairs, there I saw him. Standing tall and rugged, the first thing I noticed was how enticing his eyes were. They stared straight into me, and I could feel him reaching into my soul with his gaze. My chest became heavy as my breathing quickened, my heart pulsing and racing as it echoed in my ears. Dad! Sienna cried gleefully as we reached the top of the stairs. There I saw him standing tall and majestic, his deep eyes locked onto mine, and I felt a sudden powerful tremor shake my entire soul. The fate has found our connection, Freya, Alara whispered in my mind. He is our destiny. Freya, Alara whispered in my mind. He is our destiny. My heart raced. I had just escaped a toxic relationship, and now the universe was showing me what true safety felt like. I could feel a profound, invisible bond pulling me toward him, a longing to be protected and cherished by this powerful leader. This is Rufus Crimson, Sienna introduced us. He is the leader of the Highland pack, a wide smile spread across her lips. But now, I need to take Freya to my room and get her out of this dress. Rufus grunted, nice to meet you, Freya. Watching me as Sienna took my hand and led me down the corridor. As we walked past him, I caught Rufus's natural aura. We barely touched, but as I brushed my arm past the leader, I felt an unexpected emotional connection between us. Our eyes never broke contact. Even when I had made my way past him, I turned my head to keep my eye on him. Rufus had turned to watch me until I disappeared into Sienna's bedroom. "So what do you think of my dad?" Sienna asked with a giggle. "Some of my friends think he is hot, but that is just gross." I watched as Sienna began to rummage through her wardrobe, picking out clothing for me to wear. I planted myself on the edge of her bed, my eyes focused on a random point on the floor as I tried to take in what had just happened. "He is gorgeous," I said to Alara, in response to Sienna's last words, and that is going to get me into a whole world of trouble. Opening the fridge, I pulled a beer from inside and closed the door harder than I intended. Popping open the can, I brought it to my lips and consumed the cold liquid inside. "Alcohol won't solve your problems," my wolf Silver chuckled inside my mind. "I don't know what you are talking about," I replied internally to my wolf. With a grunt, I tried to ignore Silver's ridiculous words as I made my way over to my favorite armchair. Sitting down, I grabbed the remote and turned the television on. The big game was on, turning the volume up. I hoped the sound would drown out the voice in my head. "You know you can't get rid of me, jerk," Silver said with a sigh. "And you also know it is incredibly frowned upon to reject the fate's choice for you." I sipped my beer again. "Yeah, well, she offended me by promising me my first emotional connection for eternity." I paused. "But Mia was taken away from me, so I am not best pleased with the high and mighty moon lady right now." Silver sighed. "Rufus, you need to let go. You've been given a second chance. Not many of our kind are so lucky." "Sure, I am real lucky," I grunted, taking another mouthful of beer. "You are testing my patience," I said, becoming increasingly. "Just leave it, will you? I am not accepting that girl as my emotional connection. It is just wrong." "It might do you some good," Silver sighed with defeat. "But just think about it, Rufus. The fate has blessed you with a chance to be happy once again. If the moon chick cared that much about me, she wouldn't have taken away the only woman I have and ever will love," I said, making an attempt to push Silver into the far reaches of my mind to shut him up. Silver fell silent for a few minutes, before eventually speaking up. "Rufus, I know you are hurting. I can feel it in your heart. I share your pain as I hurt too." He paused. "But you need to appreciate what you have from Mia. Beautiful memories and 2 even more beautiful children." Another pause. "Would Mia want you to be sitting around like this? When was the last time you had a shower? She would want you to be happy and live your life. All Mia wanted was yours, Sienna and Milo's happiness." Tipping the can upright to get the last dregs in my mouth, I screwed the can up in my grip and tossed it to the ground. "I hate that you are right every single damn time," I said with a grunt. "I need to think about this, clear my mind." "Shall we go for a run?" Silver asked. A smirk shaped my lips. Now this is something we can agree on. Making my way over to the back door, I opened it and the cold air hit me. My skin prickled with the cool night air lapping against me, and as I sniffed the fresh air, an array of auras filled my senses. "Can you feel that?" Silver asked. "The call of nature, no matter what happens in life, we will always have the wilderness. She calls to me," I said as I took a deep inhale. "Let's run." Stepping out of the house, my eyes focused on the forest ahead of me. My feet began to walk, into a sprint, and then into a full run. It wasn't long before Silver brought himself into the front of my mind, and my body transformed. Reaching the forest, I didn't slow down my speed. I kept on going until the moonlight was dimmed by the trees overhead. "This is how we lose ourselves." Rufus spoke inside my mind. "Now we can clear our heads and think deeper." Without a reply, I kept on going, trampling over twigs and grass beneath my paws. The snapping of wood from my weight sounded and echoed around as I ran. "To the stream," Rufus said. "That is my favorite place." "Of course," I replied, already heading that way. I remember the day Mia left us. What a beautiful day it was by the stream. Mia was so happy. Rufus paused. Even before I knew Rufus couldn't finish his sentence, but I knew well enough how he was feeling. how his heart ached. No one would fill the space in his heart left by the loss of Mia. No one. But Freya could help Rufus repair the hurt. He just needed to realize it. As we reached the stream, I heard the water gently trickling as we grew closer. It was the most relaxing spot in this forest. I felt Rufus bringing himself forward, and my form shifted back into the human shape occupied by Rufus. Walking toward the stream, my eyes lay on one particular spot. "I need to look again," I said to Silver, knowing full well he knew where I was heading. Kneeling down, I picked up the smooth rock and turned it over. There lay the engraving that Mia left on the stone that last day we spent together. I smiled as I read the words carved on the stone's surface. "Mia plus Rufus. Here, I think these will all fit you perfectly." Sienna grinned as she placed the pile of clothes in my arms. Outfits for all occasions there, some lounging about clothes and a stylish outfit. Wiggling her eyebrows comically, I couldn't help but laugh. "Thanks, C," I smiled. Sienna twisted her face. "Ew," she blinked. "We can go shopping and buy some." "Don't worry about that." Falling back into a beanbag, Sienna stretched her legs out and looked at me. "So tell me exactly what happened with Nathan. I need all the deets." I sighed. "There is not much to say aside from that he is a toxic moron." I paused as I tried to decide which awful memory to retell first. Our marriage was arranged. "He didn't really love me." "Wow," Sienna said with shock. "I really thought you guys were in love." "Who arranged it?" "His parents," I said. "They had been close to my parents before they died and promised me to Nathan. I guess they wanted me to live a comfortable, poverty-free life." Sienna nodded. "I get that. Wanting the best for your kids, and you never had 1 ounce of love for Nathan." "No," I said. "At first I liked him. I've known him for a long time, since we were young," I said. "But as we grew older, he became distant from me and cruel. He would bully me and say cold things. Until we were told we were to marry, he tried to change, but it didn't work." "Did he hurt you, physically?" Sienna asked, with concern in her voice. "No." I shook my head. "He never laid a hurtful hand on me." Sienna nodded. "Hell yeah, you do. I am sorry you went through that," she said through gritted teeth. "I always knew Sienna had my back." Sienna's dad entered my mind, and I relived that moment in the hall where we connected. Nathan was the least of my worries right now. "Tell me about your dad," I said to Sienna. "He seems to have handled everything well." "He looks good," Sienna nodded. "He is strong, the strongest person I know." She paused. "Although I have seen him crying when he thinks no one is looking, and I think it is over Mom." "Understandable," I said, my heart aching for Rufus. "I can't imagine how hard that must be, losing someone you love and cherish so much." "He did good raising me and Milo, though," Sienna smiled at me. "He is such a great dad, always put us first over anything, even the pack." I felt my heart begin to flutter in my chest. Rufus sounded like the most caring, sweet guy, and put his loved one's needs before his own. He was the complete opposite of Nathan. "Do you think he will love again?" I asked, making sure I wasn't treading too far over the line. I watched Sienna's face for a reaction, but her expression barely changed. "Maybe," she replied. "I don't think he sees that as a priority, though. Dad always put everyone else's needs before his own. It would be great if he did find someone one day, though. He deserves to be loved by someone special again." I nodded. Everyone deserves love. Silence fell between us, and I could see the hurt in Sienna's eyes. I had to change the subject quickly. "So Milo is due home soon?" I asked with a smile. "Yeah." Sienna perked up. "Not with my brother, he is a dork." "You are not a beautiful bride any longer," Sienna said with fake shock to her voice. "But still beautiful." I smiled at Sienna, but a yawn crept up on me. "Gosh, it has been a long day. I'll show you to your room, and you can get some much-needed sleep," Sienna said. "Follow me." Taking the pile of clothes, I followed Sienna out of her room, and she opened the door directly across the hallway. "Dad's bedroom is to the left, bathroom to the right," she said, pointing in each direction. "You get some good sleep tonight. We have a big day of shopping tomorrow." Laying in bed, I felt restless and unable to drift off to sleep. There was only one thing on my mind that kept me from falling asleep. Rufus Crimson. This is utterly ridiculous. I spoke to my wolf, wondering if she was still awake too. Why can't I stop thinking about Rufus? Alara chuckled in response. Because Rufus is your emotional connection, of course. He will be on your mind every hour of the day. I said, I can't get myself into this mess. You have to look past the small details and see the bigger picture, Freya. Alara said softly. The fate has chosen you for each other as connection for a reason. It is a gift you shouldn't be so ungrateful for. All right, you can shut up now. I am trying to sleep, I replied coldly. Alara's advice wasn't what I needed to hear right now. Good luck trying to sleep, Alara said, as her voice tapered off. I felt as though I needed all the luck I could get at this moment. Why couldn't things just go to plan? What kind of sick joke was the fate pranking me with? Giving me my connection on the day I left my fiancé at the altar. Trying to relax my mind, I pushed Rufus away from my thoughts. But he would reappear again. I couldn't stop thinking about him, as though I felt strangely comforted whenever he was near. Eventually, I gave up trying to sleep. Perhaps a run through the forest would tire me out, both me and Alara. Getting out of bed, I pulled on some clothes and quietly made my way downstairs and out of the house. As I stepped through the back door, I felt the cool air brush against my skin and a shiver ran over my body. I began to run, focusing on the trees ahead, and it was then I felt Alara come into the forefront of my mind. My body transformed from its human shape into that of a wolf. I gained speed as I raced through the forest, swerving through the trees. And I felt a rush as the adrenaline pulsed through me. By now I should have turned around, but I caught the sound of trickling water ahead, and I was curious to see where it came from. So I kept on going. It was then I arrived at the stream, and hanging back as I took shelter behind a tree, I saw Rufus kneeling down by the trickling water. He cupped his hands into the water before pulling it to his face, allowing the water to cool down his skin as he washed himself. This is your chance, I said to Freya. It is your turn to take over. No? Freya responded in panic. Not now, not like this. Let's just go home. It was then, ignoring Freya's words, I shifted back from my wolf form to the human shape of Freya. The weight of Freya caused a snap beneath her feet as she stepped onto a fallen branch, which caught the attention of Rufus. Standing to his feet, he turned to face me. Alara chuckled. Talk to him. You might enjoy it. I stepped forward as I made my way toward Rufus. Hey, sorry if I startled you. I paused as my eyes sunk down to his chest once more. I couldn't sleep, so needed to clear my head and came for a run. You and me both, Rufus replied with a smile. You've discovered my favorite spot, a bit of a safe space for me. It is beautiful here, I responded, returning his smile. Do you mind if I share it with you, just for a moment? Of course. I don't mind, Rufus replied, and I felt my chest flutter from the feelings this man gave to me. We seemed to share a sort of intense connection. As he looked into my eyes, I felt as though he looked at me instead of through me. I wasn't used to a man looking at me the way Rufus did, and he seemed to struggle to take his eyes off me. I think we need to talk about what happened back there, Rufus said, as he took his eyes back to me. They held so much pain and wisdom within them, so much hurt. I wanted to help heal him, love him as much as he deserved. I found myself laughing nervously. Yeah, I said, there is a bit of an elephant in the room. We can't be together, Rufus said sharply. It would cause more trouble than it is worth. Trouble? Am I not worth the trouble? I asked as I blinked. You must have realized by now we are fated to find each other. I paused. Rufus, that is kind of hurtful. I am sorry, Rufus responded. I didn't mean it like that. A grunt left his chest. It is just not feasible, us being together. I am older than you, and we come from very different stages of life. I don't want this to come between my family. My kids are my life. I understand, I said weakly, feeling disappointed and worthless that I was being rejected by my special connection after only finding him a few hours earlier. If that is what you want, then who am I to stop you? Rufus frowned as he looked at me once more. Is that not what you want, Freya? Concern on his expression. Don't tell me you thought this would actually work between us. I grimaced as I spoke to my wolf. Silver, look at her. She is just heavenly. I am looking, Silver replied, but I don't see why you resist. Freya is your unexpected bond, and you have the freedom to explore one another. No, I replied with a grunt. I must stick to my guns. We come from completely different generations, and also the best friend of Sienna. It is best left alone. If that is what you decide, I respect your decision, Silver said. But do not forget you are depriving me from my emotional connection as well. Silver disappeared from my mind, leaving my head in silence. Rufus? Freya asked, breaking my thoughts. You look lost. Are you okay? I am so sorry, Freya. I led you on. I paused as I dropped my arms. But I can't do this to Mia. Freya exhaled gently. Was Mia your wife? Her voice shaken as she asked. Yes, I said with sadness. I loved her so much, and she was taken from me. My eyes dropped to the stone at my feet, where our initials lay. I can't do this to her. It is not unfair, Rufus. Freya whined slightly. It is unfair for you to remain so miserable and not let yourself enjoy your life. The fate has allowed you another chance, a second emotional connection. She mocks me. How dare she decide that I am ready to move on with my life? How dare she choose me another special connection when I don't want one? Do you mind if I ask what happened? Freya asked. To Mia, Sienna has never told me. They say a heart attack, I said, surprised at how easily I could talk to Freya, bringing out all these old hurtful memories. But I think there was more to it than that. What do you mean? Freya asked. They say her heart failed, Rufus said with a heavy broken sigh, revealing the deep shadow in his past. But I always believed there was a dark conspiracy behind her sudden departure. Someone wanted her gone, I said with a grunt. Let's not talk about this. Oh, Freya frowned as her eyes dropped to the ground. Did Mia die here? Is that why you come here? I nodded, and tears began to well in my eyes. Yes, this was our place. We would come here for quiet moments, just the two of us. A smile played on my lips. I miss her so much, it hurts my chest to think about her not being here anymore. I feel as though part of my body is missing. Okay, Freya responded as she pulled away from me. But I want to help heal your hurt, Rufus. I feel as though I was chosen for you, to save you from the darkness. Help you move on. I shook my head. I don't have room for a destined partner in my life. My priorities are Sienna, Milo, and my pack. My family are all that I need to help me through. Our eyes connected again and I felt Freya's pain, but I had to put myself first. I don't have room for you, Freya. I can't have another Luna. I am just not ready. I took a deep sigh as I readied my next words. I will have to walk away from this connection. Please, Rufus, I begged. Don't reject me just yet. It is the only way, Freya. I've made my decision. I am sorry. He paused to take a breath. I, Rufus Crimson of the Highland Pack. Rufus began. No! Alara shouted in my mind. Freya, we can't accept this. Rufus and his meant for us. We cannot accept being rejected. It is his choice, Alara, I said with a defeated reply. We can't force them to be with us. We can't, Alara said with a spoke deeply. But we can try and stall this a little longer. Think of something, Freya. We need time to show Rufus and his wolf why we are their emotional connection. Blinking quickly, I sat on Alara's words, Rufus. I said with a raised voice, cutting into his sentence. Please reconsider this. Freya, Rufus said with a heavy exhale, you're being impulsive right now, which isn't helping me want to reconsider. It just reminds me how young you are. I felt a twinge of anger boil inside me. How dare Rufus call me a child? You are an adult, no longer an adult or a teen. Alara spoke in my head once more. You are your own woman with free thinking, and you are able to fight for what you want. You are right, I replied to my wolf, feeling the strength rise inside me. Rufus, please just reconsider for a small amount of time. I want to go to college, start my life I had thrown away to marry Nathan. I paused as I watched Rufus's expression soften. I want to focus on my education, to make sure I get a good career in my life. Please allow me this. Let me stay with the Highland Pack while I get myself on my feet. I promise I will be out of your life as soon as I can move forward. I watched Rufus's eyes drop to the ground, and a soft huff came from him. That guy really did a number on you, huh? He asked as his eyes met mine once more. Everything fell silent. The trickle of the stream was all I could focus on now. Yeah, he sure did, I smiled, replying to Rufus. I expected the rest of my life to be at Nathan's home, tending to his every whim. I paused. But it seemed he already had other women to do that for him. Hump, Rufus said. I see. Studying Rufus, I had come to realize he wasn't really a man of many words at times. It was hard to read him. Even though our minds were naturally linked from the connection, my attempts to reach into his thoughts were blocked. Rufus didn't want me inside his head. Good, Alara said. Your quick thinking is impressive, Wolf giggled. This should buy us some time so we can ensure Rufus can see our worth. Yes, Alara, I replied internally. I can't have my very first special connection reject me. Reject us. I spoke weakly after suffering the trauma of what Nathan put me through. I can't be rejected by my connection. I would feel worthless. We are not worthless. Alara spoke gently. Rufus has been through so much. We just need to create an extra spark to ignite the flames of this partnership. You really have a way with words, I replied with a giggle. All right, Freya, Rufus said, after taking a few moments to think over my proposition. You can stay at the Highland Pack House with us, he paused, just until you get yourself set onto the straight and narrow, okay? I smiled with a nod. Yes, Rufus. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I think about Sienna and how I wanted her to achieve what she wanted in life. Rufus said, I promised myself I wouldn't hold her back or tarnish her dreams. What kind of person would that make me? I took in a slight breath. You are a good man, I said. A caring father. Sienna is very lucky. Hump! Rufus huffed again. You are Sienna's good friend, and I want to see you thrive as well, to take the opportunities I never grasped at your age. Here he goes with the age thing again, I sighed soft-eyed to Alara. It is like he constantly wants to remind me he is older than I am. We'll get there, Freya. Soon Rufus will see us for more than our years, Alara said, in response. I appreciate you looking out for us, I said to Rufus as I stepped closer to him. You are a good man. No, Rufus said firmly. He grabbed my hand and pulled his body away from my touch. Not this, you can stay with me, but we can't pursue this, he sighed. No matter how difficult it may be. I can't have you. I have to be strong. I am sorry, Rufus. I whispered my apology. Good, Rufus replied. We can fight this. Fight against the moon chick and show her that no matter how hard she tries, her decisions aren't always right. I nodded, chewing on my lip delicately. Yes, Rufus, I said with a husk. His confident presence made me feel nervous and emotional. I'll try my hardest to be strong. You're doing well, Rufus smiled. His eyes shimmered as he gazed into me. You can do this for me. We have it, Alara said. Rufus has confessed his feelings. He wants you. It's cold out there, I said, grabbing the knitted blanket from the back of the sofa. I wrapped it around Freya's shoulders. Get comfortable. I'll make us a drink. The sprint back through the forest had sent chills through both of us, it seemed. And even after pulling the thick jumper over my body, I could still feel myself shudder. Thanks, Rufus. Freya gave me the sweetest smile as I watched her hug the blanket around her body. She took a seat on the sofa. I felt a warmth fill my chest. It had been a while since I had been able to spoil someone and give her the care and attention she needed. But I had to bring myself back to reality. Freya wasn't the one I got to feel this way with. I had to be strong. I'd love a hot chocolate. Freya called from the sofa area. If you have any, that is. I smiled as I turned to look at Freya. I admired her confidence. One hot chocolate coming right up with cream and marshmallows. You read my mind, Freya replied with a grin. What are you doing? Silver asked with a grunt in my mind. I thought you were remaining strong. This isn't how you do that. I chuckled back to my wolf. What are you talking about? It is just a harmless hot chocolate. Calm down, Fuzzy. Hot chocolate with cream and marshmallows. Silver paused. And the blanket. You are torturing yourself. I know what you are like when you are spoiling a girl. Shut up, I said with a grunt. Leave me be. Very well, Silver said with a huff. But try to take your own advice and remember your words to Freya. Don't lead her on. Pushing my wolf to the back of my mind, I finished the drinks and took them over to where Freya was sitting. Handing her the mug of a warm, comforting beverage, I watched as she wrapped her fingers around the porcelain. Thanks, Rufus. She grinned before taking a sip of the drink. I laughed as a bit of cream landed on the tip of her nose. She was extremely cute, and it ruined me. You are welcome, Freya, I said, taking a spot next to her on the sofa. I could feel the warmth radiating from her already. I am interested in knowing more about you, I said. What little I have heard of your marriage, how did you get into a mess like that? Freya laughed, and I felt relieved she wasn't offended by my question. Oh, the usual, she replied with a smile. Arranged marriage by Nathan's parents. She paused. My parents became friendly with Nathan's, and they always had this fantasy of their children marrying one day. Wow, so there was a lot of pressure there. I frowned. Taking a gentle sip of my hot drink. Arranged marriage, huh? Yeah, just a bit, Freya responded. And after my parents died, Nathan's mom and dad made a promise that they would see the dream through and arrange our marriage. She paused, and I watched the memories flicker in her eyes. At the time I thought it was quite a solid idea. I was parentless, had no money to my name. My parents were not wealthy people, and didn't leave me much. God, I grunted, Freya. I am so sorry about your parents. That must have been awful. Can I ask what happened? Car accident, Freya replied. They had been out, a very rare night out they got together. One winter's night, the roads were icy, and she paused as I watched her throat swallow thickly. You can guess the rest. That is awful, I said, not knowing what to say to Freya for comfort. So you felt as though Nathan was your safety net? Yeah, Freya said. I guess that is how you could describe it. I figured marrying Nathan, he would provide me with everything I needed without worrying. I wouldn't have to think about being homeless or where my next meal came from. Freya paused to drink. It started off great. I was quite happy. But it all turned sour when Nathan mistreated me and started bringing all the other women home. There was no love in our marriage. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, Freya. I paused. You've been through so much at such a young age. No one your age should have to go through losing their parents to being married, especially in a forced and loveless marriage. I caught Freya, frowning slightly. Had I crossed a line? You keep bringing up my age, Rufus, she said. At my age this, at my age that. What is it about my age that you detest so much? I don't detest your age, Freya, I said, sitting up as my eyes gazed into hers. I just think sometimes you forget you are young and have so many years to enjoy yourself before getting tied down, I paused. And now, I understand why. I feel like you want to remind me that I am young, Freya said sternly. And I don't like it. Age isn't important, you know, I sighed. Here we go again. Freya, age is important. Can we not talk about this? I thought I made my feelings perfectly clear. You did, Freya replied. A slight pout on her lips. Then you started spoiling me, making me feel like a princess. You are giving me mixed messages, Rufus. She is not wrong, you know, Silver hissed in my mind. I warned you, didn't I? You can't tell Freya one thing and then lead her into another. That is not my intention, Silver, I said internally. I just want Freya to be comfortable around me. If she is staying here for a while, then I can't have us causing friction with one another. Perhaps friction is better than anything else, Silver said. After all, you know you are meant to be with Freya. She is your destiny. I don't need your advice. I sternly spoke to my wolf leave. Are you okay? Freya asked, her eyes on me concerned. You look troubled. I am troubled, I replied with a laugh as I took the beautiful girl in. I found Freya had shifted closer to me. My arm had stretched around the top of the sofa as though I invited her to lean into me. I am in big trouble. My voice lowered to a whisper. Hey, what is up? Sienna's voice startled me. I snapped my eyes from Freya over to her. She stood in the doorway, her eyes shifting from me to Freya. I felt my heart leap into my throat. What had Sienna heard?